Hello and welcome to Beagle in Mind's first What's in the Bag presentation, part one and two. We're just going to chat a little bit about understanding the pet food industry and the agencies involved in regulating mainstream pet food, as well as talking a little bit about the pet food trials involved getting food on the market. Starting off with AFCO, the Association of American Feed Control Officials. AFCO is a voluntary membership association and is a private organization. They consist of government feed inspection officials. AFCO is advised by the pet industry and pet advocacy groups as and also works closely with the FDA, the US Food and Drug Administration. AFCO doesn't provide veterinary medical advice or recommendations of any type. Um, this is done by the US Food and Drug Administration, or the FBA, and the CVM, the Center for Veterinary Medicine. Those two are responsible for enforcing laws regarding pet food. Their duties include going on inspections, doing random testing of pet food, and to follow up on investigations based on consumer or veterinary complaints. The USDA, Department of Agriculture for the US, they regulate imported pet foods and they inspect animal research facilities and has a voluntary inspection system for pet food manufacturers. Then the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission, regulates print and electronic advertising of pet food. And the National Research Council Committee on Animal Nutrition, or the NRC, is a private organization that advises government agencies on scientific matters, including pet nutrition. It reviews published research and generates and publishes nutrient requirements of dogs and cats based on nutritional science findings and recommendations. We'll talk a little bit more about AFCO and the NRC when we discuss nutrient profiles of food. But I'd like to talk a little bit about when you see that pet food is when a bag of pet food says it's complete and balanced. Now, AFCO allows food to be labeled as complete and balanced or 100% nutrition by three standards. The first is that the food must contain proper amounts of nutrients determined by AFCO for all life stages. All life stages include growth and reproduction and adult maintenance. To prove that a food contains proper amount of nutrients, they only require chemical analysis, and as long as the food meets the minimum requirements as set by AFCO, the food is approved. The second way for AFCO approval to be obtained is to complete an AFCO recognized feeding trial to prove the nutritional adequacy of a pet food. We'll get back to more on these feeding trials in a little bit. And the third and least expensive method of gaining AFCO approval is if a pet food is nutritionally similar to a member of a product family that is already an existing AFCO approved food, then the new food can bypass most testing. According to AFCO regulations, it allows a manufacturer to change the amount of ingredients in the family as long as they stay within their minimum and maximum levels. In other words, as long as the new food is nutritionally similar to an already approved food in the product family, the new formulation is automatically eligible for the complete and balanced claim without any analysis or further testing. Now, remember that meeting AFCO standards is voluntary, not enforced. There are many pet foods out or pet food manufacturers out there that opt not to get AFCO approval. There are good and bad foods that are AFCO approved, as well as good and bad foods that are not AFCO approved. AFCO approval merely states that the food is the basic nutrition that your dog needs. Basic nutrition. AFCO nutrient profiles are based on those created by the NRC, and the NRC recommendations and the nutrient profiles created by the NRC scientists are being altered to reflect the move away from fresh, real foods to processed and synthetically fortified nutrition. An example of this move away from NRC standards is the reduction of recommended protein in pet food from 22% to 18% for adult maintenance in dogs, which is interesting since protein is the most expensive ingredient in dog food. Back to food trials for manufacturers to claim their food as balanced and complete. A manufacturer can opt to conduct a pet food trial if they want to claim their food is complete and balanced. Dog food trials require a minimum of just 8 animals for the trial and for the trial to last 6 months. It requires that the same food formulation is fed for the duration of the trial, but AFCO allows for up to 25% of the dogs to be removed from the study for non nutritional reasons or poor food intake. But the data from those removed animals do not need to be reported to AFCO. Food will pass a trial if the remaining animals maintain their body weight or lose less than 15% of their weight. Interestingly, there's no limit on how much weight a pet can gain. So, if the food can sustain at least 6 dogs for a 6-month period without significant weight loss or any major changes in the blood chemistry, the food is ready to be labeled complete and balanced. Growth or puppy and reproduction food trials are similar to the adult maintenance trials, except the trial only needs to be run for 10 weeks. That brings us to the end of our short little slideshow of this first and second part of What's in the Bag presentations and blogs. Ways to follow us and to get into contact is all listed over here. Please feel free to contact us, follow us, anything. Keep a lookout for our next part, understanding the label, where we'll talk a bit more about how the labeling is actually fooling all of us as consumers, and it's absolutely fascinating and very exciting to actually get an understanding of this.